Welcome to the Pioneer Preview Show, and today it's the G&G show. She's
G.
and I'm Garrett. The movie we took a look at this past week was Soul. It was a 2020 animated film made by Pixar for Walt Disney Studios. It featured the voices of Jamie Foxx, Tina Fey, and Graham Norton. G, what were your opening thoughts about the movie?
Well, I think, first of all, we have to clarify that we're coming from two totally different perspectives here. When it comes to animation, I'm used to Bugs Bunny and Casper the Friendly Ghost, so half a century makes a lot of difference in terms of how you view it. So overall, it was like I had to separate the visual from the deeper meaning of it. Visually, I thought it was very entertaining. Deeper meaning, that was a different thing. How about you? What'd you think?
I absolutely loved how the visuals complemented the plot. The plot was Joe Gardner, an aspiring to be a professional jazz musician, but he was actually just a middle school band teacher. I love that. I often feel myself wanting to be something greater, so I could sympathize with Joe Gardner very much. Also love the visuals, how it captured like the aura of like a jazz concert. It was very dark and with like bright lights on the stage. I love that, kind of like we're in today. And the plot, I just love him not getting to where he wanted to be originally. I just love the obstacles that he had to go through. What do you think about his journey in this movie?
Again, I think you have to look at it from two different perspectives. For me, there was a saying back in the day that who you are is where you were when. Basically, where you were during the times that you were developing like emotionally, depends on what was going on during your earlier developmental stages. So for me, looking at Joe as the main character and where I am today, it's like I'm looking at it differently than you would, because as far as my purpose, which the movie was largely existentialism, self-determination, that kind of thing, for me, it's like, okay, where am I now? Have I accomplished what I wanted? Am I enjoying life to the fullest? Whereas I would think from your generation, it would be a different perspective. Yay or nay? What do you think?
I say yay because you're right. I absolutely look at myself every day and try to see if I'm living to the fullest, but yet you're right. I have more years ahead of me, so I'm trying to be like Joe Gardner, try to get to where I want to be. And that's a great observation. I didn't even think about that, because you have to take a step back, right?
Right.
And I'm trying to take multiple steps forward. But I do think that there is a common observation between what we've just said of trying to look at our lives. Because when I've actually, this is the second time I've seen this movie. So the first time I watched it, I was like, it was around post just coming out of the COVID era. And I was just like, man, I'm really not doing great right now. So let me take a step back. Let me not put so much emphasis on the small details like Joe Gardner. He had to like take all this time trying to get a suit ready. And to me, that's just like, what does that really have in a greater purpose? And so the second time I watched it, I was in a different mood. I was more angry, a little more pressing. And it's just like, you know what? Let me take another step back and not get so angry, not pay so much attention to the details, and really appreciate the opportunity that I have in front of me.
Yeah, the other character, 22, which was also the main character, she was the female who had gone to whatever that area was because people felt that she wasn't good enough.
Right.
And she took that internally, and a lot of her journey was based on what people had told her.
Exactly right.
And I feel like Joe's involvement with her, even to the part where he criticized her, helped her look at herself in a different way and make different choices in terms of what felt right for her, rather than what the general public would say about life in general. And for me, as you said earlier, where my journey is right now at 76 is all of the dreams that I thought I had that made me who I thought was special, my talents and so forth, those things don't matter as much. Right now, I look at life in a bigger picture. And as you said, during the COVID thing, a lot of us had time to stop and think. So if you were viewing Soul during that time, I think it helped a lot of us take our personal lives, get ourselves out of the, bad news, things are going bad, and look for a more general way of viewing life, looking at life as a whole. So from that perspective, again, looking at the meaning of life, I think it was a good movie there. What are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. It lives up to its name, Soul. It really strikes a chord within me, and I guess it did for you too. I just think that when you watch the film, it really targets. It doesn't have a set target. It can target anybody, and I feel like that is the ultimate purpose of a movie. It shouldn't. I mean, I understand some movies wanting to target a direct audience, but when you're talking about a wide scheme of Soul, trying to your purpose of life, I feel like the movie does a great job of not targeting anybody specific, because you're talking about 22, right? She has all these. There's a period in the movie where she has all these amazing mentors of historical figures, and they expose why those people were not good. And I think it's because it comes back to history has this image of these people being perfect and wonderful, but for 22, those people didn't work. The reason I think is that Joe Gardner was more beneficial for her was because he wasn't somebody prominent. He wasn't somebody historic. He was somebody who lived a daily life, and that's what 22 was looking for.
Right.
In the movie, she said she had been a soul looking to live life for 1,000 years. Well, maybe Joe Gardner's life can be worth 1,000 years simply because of what she helped, or what he helped 22 to do.
Yeah. For me, usually with movies, my judgment of whether a movie is good or not is based on the suspension of disbelief. So in animation, you don't have to do that because you already know that it's kind of cartoonish. But if you are older and you are able to get into the plot, the thought behind it, the way the movie is designed, what the message was, then you can find that. My granddaughter looked at it last year when she was 9 years old, and she enjoyed it. But again, she was looking at it from the animation, which I thought was great, the color, the cinematography, all of that was great. So I think it appeals to people for two different reasons from two different perspectives. So if I had to rate the movie on a scale from 1 to 10, again, I'd put it in those two categories on what you're looking for. If you're looking for just general entertainment, wow, that looks good, that's fun, I'd give it an 8. For the existential aspect of it, maybe a 7. What do you think?
Well, I just want to mention, I'll get to my review in a second. I just truly appreciated the amount of time and effort that they used to pay an homage, an ode to the Harlem Jazz era of New York City. I feel like that obviously carried the movie with Joe Gardner being a jazz musician, but I feel like that is a great place for people to start if they want to look at the history of jazz. I don't know why that is the case for me, but I just love that. But as for the review, I'm going to go ahead and go along the lines with you. I'm going to say anywhere from an 8 to a 9. I'm going to go ahead a little higher, a little more than you. I'm going to say a 9, simply because the first time that I watched it, I didn't even care. I didn't even think about it afterwards, because some movies afterwards, I'm just like, did that really make sense? But this movie, I didn't have to think about it because I was too busy thinking about how that movie could improve me. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 9.
Sounds good. I think that's what it's about. If it makes you think more deeply, I think that in itself gives it a higher rating.
I completely agree. And this has been
Stream it.
Exactly, yeah. Would you recommend? Were you pleased? Did you go watch this? And you didn't watch it in theaters, correct?
No, I watched it at home. Mm-hmm.
Would you encourage people to spend some time watching it at home?
Yeah, I would encourage people to spend time watching it at home. I don't know if I would encourage people if it was like in a theater. I don't think you could justify the cost of a theater, but it's definitely worth an evening of entertainment at home.
I completely agree. Obviously, it came out on Christmas in 2020, so I don't know how many people actually went and saw it, but I completely agree. The entertainment aspect of laying in your bed by yourself or sitting on a couch with your family members is the ultimate setting for Soul to be watched.
Well, gee, I guess we agree.
I agree that we agree.
Generations make not much difference, do they?
Guess not.
All right. Thank you for watching us. Come back for the next G&G review.